everybody here saw it, but hardly anyone in this country has seen it. It's very, very small. But I did like 46 episodes of it. And we knew by the middle of it nobody was watching it, but we kept going, and we kept telling the story, and we just never gave up. And hopefully someday people will discover it. Even if we're in something that we think will be a hit, we don't know. But we have to treat it with as much respect as we would anything else when we're performing.
Just quickly, or as quickly as I can talk, I think it's interesting to sort of kick it around and analyze for a little while, but for all of this, for things that you think are working or are not working, there's this level of X factor that nobody can really speak to or analyze or dissect. It just, if it works, it's working because it's working. If it resonates, it's resonating because it's resonating. This just hits, and it sticks, and its weather changes because it's weatherable and changeable, and because audience has taken it to heart, and they're characters that people just get and hold on to and are willing to adapt with changes and story changes, and some story changes that may be far-fetched or not so far-fetched, but it just has gone where it's gone, and people have gone with it. And Hasbro has been receptive to fan demand along the way. It's just there's an X factor that you can't analyze in this particular show. And sometimes things just work because they work, and sometimes great shows, for whatever reason, don't work. That's just my 2 cents.
You know, I'm told, and I don't know, but I'm told, but people involved with Transformers Prime, the show was really super. It was a super show. I don't know if it didn't work. It may have worked, and Hasbro just may have made the decision not to continue with it. That just may have been their decision for whatever reason. It's happened with other shows. We did Rugrats, and after a couple of years, Rugrats was pulled, and the backlash was so great that the woman who pulled it at Network was fired, and we went back in the air. So, because a show doesn't make it, may not be because the audience didn't want it. It could be that there was some internal problem coming from headquarters, and they made the decision. Because I was told that, and I wasn't part of the new G.I. Joe and the new Transformers, but I was told they were really wonderful shows and beautifully done. It's just someone made that decision up there and decided to take it off. So it may not have anything to do, oftentimes, with the quality of the show.
And it certainly doesn't have anything to do with us, because we have zero control over that.
I just have evolved this theory that perhaps sometimes it's easier for young people to relate to non-human characters, like animals. And so here you have these shape-shifting robots who have very human personalities. And somehow I think that's unique. Even Voltron, it wasn't quite the same. This was very unique, and I think it's the only show, at least up to that point, that had that sort of a premise. Maybe that's why it worked. I don't know. A guy named William Goldman, who was a screenwriter, he wrote Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and All the President's Men. He wrote a book called Adventures in the Screen Trade, and I think it's in the first page, first line. It says, in Hollywood, one thing is true. Nobody knows anything.
That's true. I think ultimately Transformers is science fiction. And the thing that's captivating about science fiction is that we are able to hold a mirror up to our humanity through a prism and gives us some distance so that maybe we have perspective. And these big robots that can contort and change are really all different pieces and facets of human personalities. And that's why you can relate to one to the other, because as you said, each of them has a flaw or a personal challenge that they have to overcome and we can relate to that. And that's really what storytelling is a way of examining your own struggles through something that's being shown to you.
The young lady is up.
Yeah, we have time for 2 more questions, so we'll do this one and you.
Was there any particular characters that you had trouble finding their voice for?
Say again, I'm sorry, say again. I'm gonna give you an acting lesson now. Okay? Loud and clear and enunciate.
Was there any particular character that you had trouble finding your voice for?
I've had
Yeah, those
characters.
were the jobs I didn't get.
That's true. That's so true. There are a lot of characters I had trouble keeping my voice for. Not necessarily staying consistent, but there's a lot. I play a lot of bad guys, and they sometimes have to scream. And if you have to scream for 4 hours, there's sometimes not much left. But let me pass and come back to that.
I generally don't get anything. I haven't gotten anything that where the voice was deep. Maybe one of these days the important parts of my body will drop, and but in the meantime, most of the characters I play are soft-spoken or a little bit edgy, but not the kind of thing that the big guys do.
Hey, I thought of something. Can I get?
Yeah.
Sometimes a director asks me to do something that's not humanly possible. A low, super low voice like this, you can't really scream very loud because when you naturally get upset, what do? You go higher. And yeah, this has happened a couple times this year already, and I have to find a way to not sound like a jerk, to not get fired, and also explain to them how the voice works sometimes. Usually don't like to talk back like that. But yeah, I did that in a session a couple weeks ago, and they got it. They wanted extreme screaming down here. There's no possible way to do that, except with the electronics.
Neil, I was going to give the exact same answer. If you don't get the job, it means you couldn't find the voice.
You know, we audition for a lot of things. A great baseball player fails 70% of the time. That's a great baseball player. I think actors are right up there. It's maybe even worse. I mean, we've all heard these words. Thank you very much.
It's funny, as much as I have worked in my life, I'm always tempted to say to someone who is very, very famous and successful, did you ever not get a job? Did you ever fail an audition? And occasionally I've gotten the answers all the time. I can't tell you how many jobs I didn't get. And these are people that are generally on camera or face people that were really hugely successful that I was lucky enough to have met at some point. I'd say, I have a really important question. Not, how was it like kissing Meryl Streep? I mean, I'm not interested. What interests me is, did you ever not get a job? Because actors go through that long period where you can audition your brains out and say, wow, I knocked it out of the ballpark. But so what? You still didn't get the job because it's not because you failed. They hear something else. They hear something that they want. And the person that got the job may be great and they may not be as good as you. It doesn't make any difference. So the final analysis, you have to think like that. You have to think, okay, I go to the next one. That's why it's so hard. That's why it's so enervating. Because you're always saying, pick me, pick me. And they don't. And when they do, wow, that's so great. And that's the opportunity for an actor to gripe because he got the job.
Okay, one last question.
Okay. Guess it's going to end on anecdotes because I would like to know what was your personal most memorable recording session, either because it was just everyone was just feeling it and it was so intense, or everybody wanted to stone one particular actor to death because they were dragging off the cast of football, for instance. So, like, what was the most memorable, or one of the most memorable recording sessions for each of you?
Boy, that's hard because we don't have stuff that's going on other than appearing at a session and all of us taking our clothes off. I'm sorry. I wasn't going to mention it. I can't think of anything other than what we've already discussed that has taken place, unless you guys have come up with something really amazing. I can't think of anything that's really, I know when we did on camera, something always happened. You get shot, you roll down the grass, and then you wind up and this dog poop on you. It happened several times to me when I was doing on camera work. Nobody cleared the field. Those things, yeah, those things could happen. You open up the door and the door comes off in your hand. Those, but when you're recording, it would be rare that it would be really unusual to happen, other than, let's, take 2, take 3, take 4, take 44.
I broke my lip once. No,
So that pretty much would sum up that. So anyway, you guys have been great. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you
coming.
all.
Are we going to see